Hey friends, it's Gloria and welcome back to another video. Now, in years past, I have made separate videos for the different genres of books I want to read. I did 12 nonfiction and 12 fiction and 12 classics last year for 2022. And looking back, I didn't do too well on completing those TBRs. With two of them, I think I got 50% of the way. I read some of the books, and in nonfiction, I really didn't read any of them, which is surprising because I read a lot of other nonfiction, but for some reason didn't stick to my TBRs. So instead, for 2023, I'm going to follow the trend and do 23 books for 2023 because I just need a shorter list to stick to and actually attempt to try to read some of those. They are going to be separated into genre and theme, and I have some nonfiction, some classics, some historical fiction, and some miscellaneous in this TBR. As I've said in some recent videos, honestly, I've had a really mediocre reading year in 2022, and I'm just not super stoked on reading at the moment. Like, every book I pick up is just kind of fine and nothing is really gripping me. But these books, genuinely, I put on this TBR, I'm all really excited about, and I just want to read some really good books in 2023. I hope to get to the majority of these, and if you've read any of them, please let me know how your experience went. If you want to read any of them, let me know too. Maybe I need some buddy reads for accountability to actually get me through these. But let's get into the 23 books. Let me start off with classics. I've loved reading classics the past couple years, and I just want to continue the journey in 2023. I have my own little classics shelf now. Maybe I'll give a tour of all my bookshelves at some point. But for this list, I just chose 7 that I want to prioritize. I also have all the ones that I didn't get to in 2022 that I would love to read. I read 30 classics last year, and I had some fun with reading children's classics, which is why I added a few to this list. The first one being The Wind in the Willows. This edition from the library has some pretty cute illustrations. It feels wholesome. It also feels like a spring read, so maybe I will pick it up then. This next author I'm really excited to try because A Fine Romance is one of my favorite books that I read last year, and that was about a woman and her husband who traveled to the UK, and they perused along the English countryside, and they visited historical homes, and one of them was Beatrix Potter's house. And reading that book made me realize that I would love to read some Beatrix Potter. I have never read anything from her, so I picked up the Complete Tales of Beatrix Potter. She is a children's author from the UK. She's known for her watercolor painting and for all of these little creatures that she imagined and their homes and their lives. There's like bunnies and rabbits and sheep. Kind of feels Winnie the Pooh-esque, so would love to read some of her stories. The next one was published in 1986, so technically not a classic, but a modern classic because so many people talk about this whole world, and that is Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. And this is cozy fantasy, and I feel like that is a big trend right now. I don't read too much fantasy at all, but I found this in a little free library, and I want to give it a try. I know there's a movie that a lot of people love based on this story. I know nothing about it, but it's middle grade. It should be easy and quick to read. I'm very curious how I'll fare with it. The next one I hope to read in January because of the FOMO book club hosted by some lovely ladies. I'll link that down below, but everyone is reading Jamaica Inn by Daphne du Maurier. I absolutely loved Rebecca when I read it a couple years ago. I've since read My Cousin Rachel. Didn't love that one as much, but I really want to give Jamaica Inn a try. Honestly, I have no idea what this one is about, but I will find out with everyone else who's also reading it. The next one is a perfect spring read for April because it is Enchanted April. This is a classic about some women that buy a villa or rent a villa in Italy, and it's about friendship, a holiday vacation. It sounds fun. I've heard great things. Would love to give this one a go. The next one is a book that you have to read in your lifetime. It's on every single classics list out there, and that is 1984 by George Orwell. I've read from this author in high school. Animal Farm was the pick for my class, so I didn't get an option of reading 1984. I would love to read this science fiction dystopian classic and finally check it off the list. And finally, for classics, I want to pick up The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins, an author I've never read from before. This one, when people talk about it, it really reminds me of Rebecca. It's supposed to be ghostly and gothic, atmospheric, but the way that a few booktubers talked about this book when reading it for Victober, I believe, made me want to pick it up, so it's now on this list. Moving on from classics, let's talk about nonfiction. Again, I don't know why I didn't do so well in 2022 with my 2022 list, but this selection of 6 nonfiction I'm genuinely really excited about and I really want to get to. So the first one being this short, slim, little translated memoir called The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. This one I found in a little free library, and it has always intrigued me. It sat on my nightstand for months in 2022, but I never picked it up because so many other things were happening. But this one is about John Dominique Bobby, who was a 43-year-old editor of French Elle, and he had a massive stroke that completely paralyzed him and had locked-in syndrome, which is where you're fully aware but you can't move or talk, and this is his experience living through that. I'm so intrigued by this story. That experience is absolutely tragic, but also this is such a slim little book, and it's translated. I'm just very curious how I'm going to fare with it and what takeaways I'll have from reading this. Next up on the list is The Choice by Dr. Edith Eva Eger. This is a Holocaust memoir type of read similar to Night by Elie Wiesel or The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. This is about a woman who encounters the trauma that she experienced during the war. The next book is so beloved. I've heard nothing but amazing things, so I'm expecting greatness, and that is Being Mortal by Atul Gawande. Without even having read it before, based on everyone's amazing raving reviews, I actually gifted this in a white elephant exchange at a Christmas party recently. So it better be good because I gifted this to someone. They seemed happy when they unwrapped their gift. This one is all about medicine and what matters at the end and aging, and so many people will just say that this is deeply moving, so I would love to try this. This next one has one of the most beautiful covers for nonfiction. I also am a huge fan of The Crown, and so I would love to pick this book up. Elizabeth and Margaret, The Intimate World of the Windsor Sisters by Andrew Morton. The gray, the pink, the portrait. I love it so much. I hope the contents of this are just as good as the outside, but I would love to get a closer look at the sister relationship. I know that it was fraught and they didn't always get along, and particularly Princess Margaret had a lot of stuff going on all the time, so I would love to learn more. The next one that I would love to read is The Library Book by Susan Orlean. And for those that don't know, I work part-time at the library as an assistant, and so I just have this newfound love for libraries. Well, not really new. I've used libraries forever, but I have a bit of a different perspective from working in one. And this is all about a great fire that hit the Los Angeles Public Library in 1986. The fire destroyed thousands of books, and this is a bit of a mysterious investigation of whether that fire was intentionally started or what kind of happened behind the scenes. It sounds fantastic. And finally, for these nonfiction hopefuls, I have a poet that I would love to try. I dabble in poetry here and there. It is not often successful. I find it just too dense sometimes, but this is an author that so many people love and have given very high praises and high ratings, and that is Mary Oliver. And I have Felicity here as well as Devotions, which is a bigger book of her poems. I would love to read one of these or both of them, I don't know, but definitely an author that I want to try. I'll probably start with Felicity because it's nice and short. I know that I fare well with nature poetry. I'm wondering if this includes some of that, and I tend to prefer positive, hopeful poetry, not really sad and gloomy stuff. But I'm eager to try Mary Oliver and see if I get along with her writing. Before I end with historical fiction, which is one of my favorite genres, let me mention two miscellaneous books. The first one is Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is a middle grade series. I believe there's 3 books, but this is a middle grade children's fantasy along the lines of Harry Potter, Keeper of the Lost Cities, all of those fantasy series. I would love to give this one a try. It just sounds fun, and I need a little bit of fun in 2023. On a similar vein, another fun series that I really just want to give a go is The Rule of One. This is a young adult dystopian, and I believe there's 3 books in the series. I saw this recommended from a bookstagrammer. Books on Her Brain, I believe, is her handle. This one is set near future in the US. The rule is that you can only have 1 child, and this follows a young teenage girl who discovers that she has a twin and that it's been kept secret by her parents. Something along those lines. A little YA dystopian to throw into my mix of reading. Sounds like a good time. All right, so let's end with historical. I have 3 books that are properly historical fiction, and then I have 5 books that are alternate history or history with a spin, and that is because, like I mentioned in my what I learned about my reading year in 2022, I have fallen in love with alternate history. I'm craving for more history with a twist, just to spice up my historical fiction reading. It's been kind of stale lately, and so let me mention some of the books that I think will work really well for this craving. The first one being Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. I also have Parable of a Sower by her. I still want to try that one. I didn't get to it in 2022, but this one is a must read. So many people love it. It's about a young woman who's set in present day, but she somehow time travels back to the South during the time of slavery, and she's trying to save a boy, but she's also a Black woman, and living and being in that time period is dangerous. Just sounds compelling, interesting. I would love to give it a try. These next 2 I mentioned in that video about alternate history that I would love to try. Underground Airlines by Ben H. Winters. This one is set during present day, I believe, but as if slavery was real, and so instead of the Underground Railroad, there's Underground Airlines, I think. I'm not entirely sure. Also don't know if it should be in my historical category, but since I'm calling this alternate history, I'm gonna put it here. I am very intrigued by this one. I hope I love it. This next one, I can't believe that I'm putting on this list because Stephen King is not an author that I at all am interested in reading, but if I'm gonna pick up one of his books, it's gonna be 11/22/63, even though it's huge, but it is about the JFK assassination and some time travel, and I've heard more good reviews than bad, so I want to at least give it a try. we'll see how it goes. This next one I just found randomly. It is a 2022 new release, but it sounds so good. We'll see if it actually is, and that is Widowland by CJ Carey. And it says, to control the past, they edited history. To control the future, they edited literature. London, 1953. 13 years have passed since England surrendered to the Nazis and formed a grand alliance with Germany. The nation has been forced to adopt many of Germany's oppressive ideologies, including a caste system that classifies women into hierarchical groups according to their perceived value in society. Alternate history, as if the Nazis had won the war, but it's set in England, and it kind of feels like Handmaid's Tale-esque vibes, but it sounds fantastic. This next book, when I mention it in a book haul, so many of you have said you loved it, or that you've had it on your shelves for years, have heard nothing but good things, and want to read it. 1000 White Women, The Journals of Maydod by Jim Fergus. What I've now learned is that this is kind of an alternate history. It is about a government program that didn't exist, but was maybe conceptualized or was planned to happen, but never actually happened. So this is like a what if it did happen, about white women that were sent to infiltrate the Native American population and marry the chiefs and then kind of Americanize them or something along those lines. Again, sounds just very interesting. Would love to read from this perspective. We'll see how it goes, and I know that many of you have it on your shelves, so if you want a buddy read, let me know. All right, my last three like proper historical fictions. This first one being West with Giraffes by Linda Routledge. This was on the 2021 Historical Fiction Goodreads Choice Awards. I believe didn't win, but it was nominated, and I actually got this for Christmas, so a little spoiler on a book haul there, but I am very intrigued by this book. This is set in 1938 during the Great Depression. It has to do with the beginnings of World War II and the Dust Bowl, and this is around the first giraffes that go to the San Diego Zoo. It's supposedly part adventure, part historical saga, and part coming of age love story. It sounds fantastic and also very intriguing and unique in terms of the themes. The next one of the most popular historical fiction books out there. I can't believe I haven't read it, but I want to cross it off the list, and I also want to see how I fare with it. That is The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. I read The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek, which has to do with the Packhorse Library and the Appalachia area. I don't know anything else about it, but I know that more people like, I think, this one than the Bookwoman series now. And the Bookwoman series was fine for me, so I'd love to see what all the fuss is about and if this one holds up in terms of meeting the high praises that it receives. Finally, I'm gonna add this one to the list because I really want to make some progress, and not only progress, but finish the series, and that is the Outlander series. The next book I have to read is book 6. That is The Breath of Snow and Ashes. This one, fingers crossed that it happens in January and February because it feels, you know, wintry. And then I have 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I have 4 more books after this. So I don't know if I'm going to complete all 5 in 2023, but here's hoping. I want to try. I don't want to be afraid of the big books. I don't want to be distracted by other ones. I have all the books. I would love to just read through them, complete the series up to the point that it is now written. Book 10 is going to come out at some point. We'll see. Those are all the 23 books that I would love to read in 2023. Again, like I said, 2022 is mediocre. I'm also in like a bit of an iffy spot with my reading. I want to read stuff that excites me, that draws me. I want to sit down with a book and read it all in one sitting and say, oh my god, I love that, and I want you all to read it. That hasn't happened in a very long time, so I don't know, maybe some of these will do that for me. I'm really hoping they do. Thank you all for watching this video. As always, let me know if you've read any of these or have any thoughts below. So I will see you in another video soon. Bye!